How was your day today? If you were asked to describe your own childhood, what images, what memories come to mind? Whether they are happy or sad, most of these memories surface when you were at least 4 or 5 years old, meaning you had clear awareness then. Most of us have no recollection of the first 3 to 4 years of our lives. In fact, we rarely remember much before the age of 7. You won't remember the moment you cried in your caregiver's arms. You won't remember the time you buried your face in your mother's warm embrace. You won't even remember your parents' faces as you took your first wobbly steps. This phenomenon, termed infantile amnesia by Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, has been a recognized concept for over a century. However, even after more than a decade of research, we still don't fully understand the extent of these blank spaces in our early minds. Many neuroscientists believe that children cannot form long-term memories because their brains haven't fully developed the necessary components, specifically the hippocampus and the medial temporal lobe, which are crucial for building complete event memories. Furthermore, we cannot recall childhood memories in a language-based format, which is why these memories are never truly complete, fully detailed, or carefully preserved. However, after reading Thomas A. Harris's "I'm okay, you're okay," I made a fascinating discovery that answered many why questions in my mind. I had always believed that even if we don't remember clearly, whatever passes through our minds must surely reside somewhere within us. And the answer is yes. We may not be able to consciously recall our earliest childhood memories, but these fragments are stored somewhere, and though inaccessible, they can resurface during certain events in the present. A patient was tormented by a recurring dream. Each time she dreamt it, she would fall into extreme panic. Her heart raced, she gasped for air, and her stomach cramped. She struggled to describe the dream, lacking the words. After much effort, she depicted it as a dream with tiny dust particles and gigantic cosmic objects swirling like massive, threatening spirals, trying to swallow her. The doctor surmised that the extreme panic following this dream stemmed from a deep-seated fear of losing her life or the threat of death. Subsequently, the doctors investigated and connected the dream's origin to an event from her early childhood. This girl's mother was an unyielding woman. She believed that babies should be breastfed, and well-fed babies were well-developed. The source of the dream originated from a period before she could speak, which is why she couldn't articulate it. The dream causing abdominal cramps suggested a connection to her earliest feeding experiences. It was likely that as an infant, the patient, even when feeling full and stopping breastfeeding, had her mother insist that she needed to feed more. The image of tiny things being swallowed by massive cosmic objects could be a reenactment of the infant's perception of that past situation. She, herself, was the tiny speck of dust being engulfed by her mother's imposing body. And this type of dream, borrowing from these early experiences, further solidified the hypothesis that our earliest life experiences, though inexpressible in words, are recorded and replayed in the present. This means that trauma can be invisible. Those who suffer it might not even be aware of its existence. Trauma hidden deep within your subconscious has been recorded, stored somewhere, and will replay at some point later. Revisiting our initial question, what childhood memories are surfacing for you right now? Is it possible that despite a multitude of beautiful, joyful, and warm memories, you tend to recall the darker, more somber stories? Clearly, within our brains, there are still images of a child running and playing with friends by the river, a child riding on their father's back to school, a child dozing in their mother's arms, lying back to gaze at the starry sky on their grandmother's bamboo bed. But for some reason, these beautiful parts don't surface. Instead, what appears are images of a child overhearing their mother's harsh words behind a closed door, sitting in a corner with tightly covered ears, a child crying loudly when isolated by friends, a child gritting their teeth enduring punishment. Even a child whose life seemed filled with carefree joy, chasing butterflies with a chocolate-smeared face, still carried these hidden burdens. Thomas A. Harris also observed that negative emotions often carry more weight than positive ones. Let's imagine each of our brains as a computer. This computer makes decisions and expresses emotions based on 3 ego states: the parent ego, the child ego, and the adult ego. Simply put, each ego state functions like this. We all possess a parent ego state, which contains external stimuli the child saw and heard during their early years. This recording includes the warm whispers of a happy mother, the proud, affirming gaze of a father, but also the sounds of dinner tables being overturned and dishes shattering. Remarkably, the data in this recording is received and documented in the most truthful way possible, without any peripheral information or edits. This means that if parents were in a state of confrontation, a terrifying conflict would be recorded within the child. This recording does not include the background truth that the father was an alcoholic due to work pressure, or that the mother lost her composure due to exhaustion from a second pregnancy. Joyful images are just joyful, sad images are just sad. If you do wrong, you get hit. If angry, they leave. There is no hidden information present in this recording. Crucially, the parent's words and actions in this recording are logged by the child as an undeniable truth. It's like an indelible record, not easily erased, and capable of replaying itself throughout life. If the parent ego is the external recording, the child ego is considered the internal recording. When encountering external events, the child responds emotionally because, in their early years, they lack language. They cry when hurt, laugh when happy. They observe people's attitudes to decide whether to continue their behaviors. In this recording, a child who is scolded and hit might develop naive thoughts like, "Even my parents don't love me, which means I'm not worthy of love." The child ego understands love purely. Love is nurturing and caring, not shouting, criticizing, hitting, or scolding. And as mentioned, negative emotions often carry more weight than positive ones. Most individuals have an unstable child ego. This second ego recording is also an indelible record, just like the parent ego, impossible to erase. So, if we navigate childhood with a series of indelible experiences recorded in our parent and child egos, is there any hope of changing these records? The answer is yes. The adult ego will address this problem. The adult ego forms based on the child's later exploratory experiences. This ego will reevaluate data from the parent ego's recording, refute inconsistencies, and manage the impulsive, primitive perceptions of the child ego. Here's an example. A mischievous child runs across the street and is hit by their mother. The child's parent ego records the image of the mother hitting them. The child ego records feelings of pain, anger, fear, and disappointment, perceiving that the mother doesn't love them. Here, the adult ego plays the role of reevaluating the parent ego's recording, understanding that the mother hit them because running across the street is very dangerous. The mother did it to protect their life. From there, it updates a new record in the adult ego. Unlike the child ego, when new data is updated, the adult ego ensures that emotional expression occurs within appropriate bounds. Our painful childhood memories cannot be erased, they will remain there. But as you've seen from my explanations above, we can choose to turn off those old, painful recordings and update them with new, meaningful ones. The journey of healing requires time and especially transformation. This transformation often appears in Buddhist teachings, particularly symbolized by the lotus flower. We despise injuries, we see pain as mud. The common way to heal is to clean up the mud and discard it. But transformation is becoming a blooming lotus, pushing through that foul-smelling mud. Just as American poet Robert said, emotional maturity is not about becoming cold and stone-hearted, stifling all emotional turmoil to become indifferent. On the contrary, it is about being willing to embrace the experiences within oneself without being overwhelmed by those emotions. So by now, has the child within you found a place to rest,